Hey, Stuart here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the keto diet because I get that question a lot with my clients. I think there's a lot of people that are thinking about doing the keto diet or they're in the midst of doing it or having a go at it themselves. There's a few things with it you need to understand because in my experience, I've found when I've spoken to people about it, they'll ask me a question about, what do you think about keto? And I guess my first question to them is, do you actually understand what the keto diet is? Because I think that's probably the biggest misconception that I see. I think a lot of people just think going keto is just having low carb, which is sort of half true, but it's not what the keto diet actually is. So the keto diet really is about getting your body into ketosis, which is effectively your body primarily running on fatty acids, or the breakdown of fatty acids, which turns into ketone bodies for your body to use as fuel effectively. So yes, in order to do that, you need to cut down your carbohydrates, but really when someone says I'm on the keto diet, to me, what that actually means is that the keto diet is 85% fat, 10% protein, and 5% carbohydrates. So if you look at it in terms of your daily intake, that's how it would be structured. So 85% fat. So unless you're actually doing that, you're not on the keto diet because you're not really getting into ketosis. The other thing with ketosis is it's not in the pure sense, in the scientific sense, getting into ketosis is a very sort of binary thing. You are either in ketosis or you are not. And the only way to get into ketosis is actually to basically eliminate carbohydrates with a very similar structure to those percentages I said. It's almost you're getting all your calories, all your food intake really from fat sources. So that's why it's, generally speaking, you'll hear, oh, you can have bacon, you can have lots of butter and cream and all sorts of things, but you'd be needing to, because in order to get the calories that you need from fat, you'd be needing to use those sources, which are sort of high fat, moderate protein sources of food. Now, should you do it is the other question. So, I'm not against going into ketosis. I think that there's definitely a lot of benefits to having a body that is utilizing, I guess, fatty acids as fuel. I think that's a very important function that most people are not well adjusted to that function, and that's because of their diet, and they're almost eating the opposite way to being in ketosis, which is more of a high carb diet, which is what most people are on. What I would say is a lot of people get some fantastic results from it in terms of fat loss, and they'll also, once they can get to a point where they're in sort of sustained periods of ketosis where their body's primarily using ketone bodies as fuel, they'll report that they feel fantastic, but it's a very, very long road to get there, and that's what I would say. Most people are not really ready for what's required to get your body into a position where it's actually in ketosis in a medical sense. So that's where I see most people are sort of saying they're doing the keto diet, but they're not. They've just cut their carbohydrates down, and they're also probably eating too much protein to maintain ketosis, because you will get an insulin response from eating protein. It's certainly not as high as eating something like carbohydrate source, but you still have to be aware that you have to minimize your protein intake as well, which makes it a very difficult diet to stick to. So, but it does have benefits. As I said, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I definitely am a lower carb advocate. I think that most people that are, generally speaking as well, I should say, when people are looking to do ketosis, they're generally looking to do it for weight loss, and they're sort of on the right path, as in generally people that struggle with their weight. It's got more to do with them not managing their blood sugar and their insulin health, rather than the amount of calories that they're eating. That's in my experience anyway. So definitely cutting carbs down is a good thing. But do you need to go on a keto diet and get yourself into ketosis to get the benefits of a low carb diet? No, you do not. But it's really a personal thing. And I think what I would say to anyone is, this process of sort of finding what works for you is a real trial and error thing. So I would recommend anyone give it a go. Try it, see how you feel on it. For me, definitely, I'm more of a lower carb body type, but I think the fat component of it would be too much for me. The other thing that I should point out is if you do decide to go on that 85% fat, 10% protein, 5% carb structure that I mentioned, that is the keto diet in a pure sense. You need to be mindful that you are not going to be getting a lot of the nutrients that you require for optimal health, and that's because fat just doesn't have that many nutrients. So you will be void of many of the essential nutrients that you need to really thrive and have an optimal body. So there's a bit in there. I know I'm not saying don't do it, but I think there's definitely a way to get the benefits of a lower carb diet. Definitely your body using ketones to a point without being absolutely in ketosis. But do you need to be in absolute ketosis to get the benefits? No, you do not. So that would be my recommendation. But at the same time, if you're really interested in it, I would suggest giving it a go, because that process of self-discovery, you'll definitely learn something in the process. But hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you on the next video.